Good morning, everybody. My name is Tim Marks, the CEO of Catholic Charities, and thank you for being here on a brisk morning. I hope that all of you had a good night's rest last night in a warm bed after a hard day at work, and I know you'll put in a hard day of work today, knowing that tonight you'll go home to a warm bed. Too many of our fellow Minnesotans simply do not have that opportunity. And we are here today to say that we can do better. What is happening here at the Dorothy Day Center is a crisis in this community, and it is a canary in the coal mine for this entire region and state as we confront increased homelessness, poverty, and hopelessness among our fellow citizens. Last night, there was a homeless memorial in Minneapolis where 150 people were memorialized after having experienced homelessness. 25 of those individuals we knew here from Dorothy Day. Thankfully, we have the opportunity for a new beginning, and it's because we have tremendous leadership that is coming together for a new day for Dorothy Day and as we solve homelessness. We have a great mayor who is leading us. We have tremendous civic leadership with Carleen Rhodes and Matt Kramer. And we have the opportunity to begin anew. And that's really, really important because we have people like Carl, who many of you have gotten to know through a video that he allowed us to do about his story. A 63-year-old man who works 3 jobs, sleeps here at nights on a simple mat as 250 people other do, having a meal on a mat, and he can't get by. Carl says all he and those who are here each night yearn for is a job and a place of their own. We can't let Carl's dream be forever deferred. So we are so grateful that the task force has come together, and I would like to introduce the 2 co-chairs of that task force who are bringing together a tremendous coalition. Carleen Rhodes, the president and CEO of the St. Paul Foundation, and Matt Kramer, the president of the St. Paul Area Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, Carleen.
Good morning, Tim, thank you. I was very honored to be asked to co-chair this with Carleen, and I think when the team first got together, we very much agreed, and I think there was no confusion. This is not a task force. This is not an analysis. This is an action plan. And this action plan was rooted in 2 core principles. The first is service. Service to the clients of this center, service to the city of St. Paul, service to Ramsey County, and indeed service to the state of Minnesota, recognizing the key role that Catholic Charities and the Dorothy Day Center plays for the state as a whole. And then second, as Tim just mentioned, obligation. We cannot, will not, allow individuals to be treated with anything less than the dignity that they deserve. And sleeping on this floor that we're standing on right now is not dignity. I'm really proud today that our work is going to result in essentially 3 new buildings. A new proposed shelter that will be state-of-the-art service delivery for individuals who need that temporary shelter, modeled on Higher Ground, which Catholic Charities operates in Minneapolis. A new connection center, bringing the services individuals need to move out of poverty. It could be job counseling, it could be mental health services, it could be services for veterans. And then finally, permanent affordable housing as individuals make that transition into the commercial marketplace and need that time period where they are having some supportive housing and they're doing it in a way that brings them dignity, but also ensures that we put on in St. Paul that visible manifestation of our heart, permanent housing that shows individuals how much we care. 2 key concepts to remember. First, the shelter and the connection center will be located in the northeast quadrant of downtown St. Paul, creating a safer, less chaotic environment for the citizens and the customers of Dorothy Day Center. And then second, the permanent housing is actually envisioned whether located directly on this site or very nearby, so that as the employees of St. Paul, as our visitors to St. Paul come and go, each and every day they will see that Catholic Charities brand and they will see the heart of St. Paul on display. Thank you.
Well, I join Matt in thanking the mayor for giving us the privilege of looking at this issue and bringing, frankly, diverse points of view to what is a community issue as well as a statewide issue. As we really looked at the ways we could best serve the homeless folks who come to St. Paul, we prioritized the long-term solution. It isn't just about the shelter solution, it's about the continuum and making sure people have opportunities to move more quickly and transition to something that's going to be permanent for them. So while I brought a strong St. Paul focus to this effort because I am the president of the St. Paul Foundation, I'm also the president of the Minnesota Community Foundation and regularly participate in statewide initiatives and efforts. I think we're privileged as a state, as a community, that multiple people with different perspectives come together on an array of issues, and homelessness is just one of them. I also co-chair Heading Home Minnesota with Jim Fry, an effort, again, to coalesce efforts around addressing this issue, sharing best practice across the counties of the state, et cetera. And I was privileged yesterday to see probably some of the very same reporters and photographers at the release of the statewide plan to end homelessness. That was released yesterday, and that's not a coincidence. They, like us, want to make sure that there's attention brought to this issue as we go into this legislative session and make sure that hopefully $100 million of infrastructure bonds are approved and that Catholic Charities for the Dorothy Day Center project, the ReVision project, has a really great chance to compete for $17 million of that total. So I have to say that I am just privileged to be part of a community, a state, that cares a lot about the vulnerable. I'm just pleased to see folks like Tom McCune here, who was here at the beginning of when this facility was built and paying attention to what's right and appropriate to do right now. In the end, the success of the broader St. Paul area, the metro area, greater Minnesota is going to be addressed if we lift up this challenge and do our part. So with that, Mayor Coleman, please.
Thanks, Carlene. Thank you so much to Matt and Carlene for just stepping right into the breach. When Tim and I began to talk about what we needed to do to really treat the people that are most vulnerable in our community with the dignity that they deserve, both Carlene and Matt stepped up and without hesitation said, what can we do and how quickly can we do it? And so I want to thank them for their leadership. I can't tell you how much this community is blessed to have both of you as leaders in it. Tim, thank you also for your incredible work that recognized the need for us to do something significant in a major way. I want to just recognize Councilmember Dave Thune is sitting back there, who has always been really kept in the forefront of his mind the vulnerable people in our community. Thank you. We have Councilmember Tolbert, who is on the task force. Thank him for his efforts. We have many members of the City of St. Paul who are present with us today, and I want to thank Nancy Holmans, who is not present with us, for her tireless leadership. Oh, she is here. Typical Nancy Holman. She's in the back trying to be a fly on the wall, even though she's doing all of the work. So Nancy, thank you. I govern in prose. Nancy governs in poetry. And she said in some remarks for yesterday's announcement, at this time of the year when it is most dark, this is truly a ray of sunshine in this community when we take major action like this to do so well by the vulnerable people in our community. And the charge that we have was really summed up by the St. Paul paper today in a very, very simple four-word headline. It said simply, "We can do better." And that's really what this is about. We can do better for the people that are our clients here at Dorothy Day. And several decades ago, the City of St. Paul stepped forward in a really unprecedented way. A partnership between the business community, the philanthropic community, between service providers that said, what is the state-of-the-art way that we can help the homeless populations on the street of St. Paul? And at the time, it was a drop-in center. It was a place for people to get out of the cold in the winter, to get out of the heat in the summer, to have someone to talk to have someone that treated them humanely. But we realize now that what we created that was state-of-the-art many years ago is no longer state-of-the-art. And the fact of the matter is we are not creating a pathway forward for our homeless citizens to get out of that condition, to move up and out off the street. And what we do here today is take a gigantic leap forward to really providing the level of service that we know City of St. Paul this community, this region, and the state are capable of. And so I really want to thank all of you that have seen the vision, that have seen the need, that have understood it, and have fought to get this plan moving forward. Now the work really begins. As Matt said, this is an action plan. This is not a think tank. This is not something to sit on a shelf. This is something to roll up our sleeves and get to work on right away. We've already had meetings with the governor. We've had meetings with legislative leadership. We've had meetings with a lot of folks and in the philanthropic community to say, what is it going to take to get this done? And now I think that we have the opportunity to move forward. This is a plan that will help Carl, the Carl that Tim talked about, and thousands like him to achieve their dreams of jobs and homes and brighter futures. This is the kind of community that we are. This is the best of the city of St. Paul. This is the best of all of us. Thank you so much for the work that you have done to get us to this point. Now let's get to work. Thank you.
So 30 years ago, civic leaders like McEwen and Fry and Desroche and many others, and mayors like Latimer and Scheibel came together to create the original Dorothy Day, and we are so fortunate because big things don't happen in great cities unless you also have a great mayor, that we have a Mayor Coleman, that we have new civic leadership that is dedicated to addressing the needs of this community. We have Matt Kramer, we have Carleen Rhodes, we have Phyllis Goff and Commissioner Tony Carter and Todd Axtell from the Police Department, Councilmember Chris Tolbert and Bill Lester, who are committed to making it better again for this community in this important day. This is not only the right thing to do, but it is also the smart thing to do, because one thing that we all know is that if we solve homelessness, we avoid so many public costs. The Wilder Foundation and many others have demonstrated that in study after study. So as we go about this work, we can do it both with heart and head and spirit, and we will accomplish this task. Thank you very much, and we're ready to stand for questions.
Get to work.
We'll get to work, yeah.